All right. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, meanwhile, is preparing a two-day trip to China on Sunday. He's expected to talk about Russia's war with Ukraine, the military, and climate change. No word on the origins of COVID and whether or not that is on the agenda. More than a dozen GOP senators have urged Blinken and Treasury Secretary Yellen to push China on human rights issues, trade, Beijing's aggression in the Indo-Pacific region, among others, not to mention unfair trade practices. Joining me right now is the founder of the Atlas organization. He is the author of The Decisive Decade. Jonathan D.T. Ward is here. Jonathan, congrats on the new book, and thanks very much for being here.
Thanks, Maria. Good to be with you.
I want to ask you what the decisive decade means, because I think I understand, given the need to finally face off on this issue of China. But first, let's talk about this letter from Marco Rubio and his colleagues urging Anthony Blinken to raise these important issues with his counterparts in Beijing. What are your thoughts in terms of what to expect here?
Well, look, this is a great letter. I think this is the right framing for this trip. I mean, what they say is, we write in advance of your upcoming visits to the People's Republic of China. We urge you to use the trips to hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for its human rights violations, unfair trade practices, and increasing aggression in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. Anything less would be a concession to our country's greatest threat. So we have to remember what a total meltdown the Anchorage, Alaska meetings were between Blinken and Wang Yi. The fact that that gave China really a platform to have an anti-American tirade, to utilize it for propaganda purposes and all of the above. And I think we really need to see some backbone here, and that's what the Republican senators are calling for. And that's the right thing. I mean, that's where we need to go. I mean, there's still a battle for the nature of our policy towards China. Is it engage but hedge as it used to be, or are we going to go all the way towards containment? Are we going to rebuild America? Are we going to finally put the People's Republic of China in its place? And that's where we need to go. And I think Congress needs to take the lead on that, because this does play fundamentally into Beijing's hands to have two of our top officials go into Beijing to accomplish what? To put guardrails on the relationship, a relationship that includes an adversary state that's preparing for war with us, that's sending fentanyl into America, killing tens of thousands of people here, and also harassing the entire region. I mean, this is a country that we need to contain, not one that we need to sit down to dinner with.
Well, not to mention the fact that we are in February of 2023. COVID showed up here in January, February 2020. We are 3 years away. We have gone through such upset because of COVID. Can you believe that the only hearing that we are going to have is coming up because of the Republicans leading it? We have not had one hearing on the origins of COVID-19, how this thing started, how we are going to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Do you think this comes up?
Perhaps. And either way, I think it'll come up in Congress now.
Sure.
I mean, that's certainly going to be part of it. And, having the, this chamber as a real body in which we're going to start talking about China for real, and having the conversation that the American people desperately need to have, and beginning to find ways to hold this adversary accountable, and to formulate a new American big picture grand strategy that can win. That's the fundamental thing. We're running out of time. You asked me about the title of my new book, The Decisive Decade. It was something I wrote about in China's Vision of Victory, essentially that the contest with China will be won or lost in the 2020s. So this is the window we have to formulate a new strategy to change tack on all the failed years of engagement and really a disastrous China policy and strategy that's led to the rise of the most formidable totalitarian actor in perhaps the last 100 years. So now we have to change course on that and rebuild the United States, go through with economic containment of China, and begin to rebuild the world without Beijing's influence.
And that's what is behind this special select committee on China being run by Mike Gallagher in the GOP. Let's not forget China's support of Russia as Russia creates death and destruction in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is expecting a visit from Xi Jinping this spring. This would be the second in-person meeting for the two leaders since the start of Russia's war on Ukraine, Jonathan. Your thoughts on Beijing's support of that war?
Well, that's right, Maria, and you and I have been talking about this for quite some time now, and Beijing is absolutely behind this war. I mean, they're essentially bankrolling Putin through trade. I mean, they're the ones who are buying his energy, and their companies are still there. I mean, the whole list of Chinese corporates is still in China, still in Russia, doing business, and the Chinese ambassador immediately after the invasion called for Chinese companies to step in and essentially capture market there as Western companies were stepping out. So, there's economic support, there's diplomatic support, there's an enormous amount of ideological support, and they're playing a relatively successful double game by continuing to sort of lead us along by the nose, thinking that perhaps there will be a rift in the Russia-China relationship. There's no rift.
Yeah.
They got started on this nearly 10 years ago. I mean, in 2014, when Putin seized Crimea, and then China began building the islands in the South China Sea that have been fully militarized now. I mean, they've been pushing against American interests in Europe and Asia in a coordinated way for a decade. Their military exercises have increased in pace. I mean, just in the past 12 months, they've had multiple exercises with nuclear bombers.
Even coming close to American aircraft.
It's a pretty long list.
It's even
That's
coming
right.
close to American aircraft.
It's a very long list.
I
mean, the case
region.
against China is just enormous at this point, and the time for action, that's our biggest challenge in America. Can we act? We know we can talk about it.
Yep.
Can we act?
Well, you've given some good layout plans for Anthony Blinken. Very quickly before you go, what should be the priority of the China Select Committee run by Representative Mike Gallagher?
Economic strategy. America needs a theory of victory in the economic arena, and we need to do containment. And you do that along the lines of technology. That's started. The Biden administration has started with the export controls, and you have to cut down U.S. investment into China. And I think we have to hold the capital flows and their creators accountable. I mean, things like MSCI and BlackRock, which are continuing to create investment vehicles into our primary adversary. I would have them in front of that committee if I were Mike.
Well, it's a great point. I'm glad you raised it, because what we are essentially doing is we are funding the expansion of communist China with all of these ETFs and index funds that are investing in the very companies that are tied to the Chinese Communist military that may very well turn on America at some point as well. Jonathan, you make great points. We so appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, sir.